We got a whole physician in the house, guys. Say hello to an MD. A whole MD. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. We have a special guest. This is...
Hi, I'm Kayla. Hello, Helene's followers. Nice to meet you.
Yes.
Hi, once again. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, born and raised. I went to Georgia Southern, go Eagles. And then I went to Morehouse School of Medicine for med school, and I'm currently a pediatrics resident in the residency program at Morehouse. And I'm planning on going into pediatric emergency medicine.
So can you just explain a little bit about how you ended up deciding to go into medicine?
When I was in kindergarten, we had like career day, and my dad bought me this white coat and this like doctor's kids. And when I was like 5, I just felt so important, and I was going to change lives. And I knew doctors were know-it-alls, and they asked a lot of questions, and I was that kid that was always like, why? But why do we do that? Why is that happening? Why does he do that? And you know, those are just the makings of a doctor, because it's literally all we do is ask why and then find the answer. Yeah, and then pediatrics, because I was a kid who loved babies and kids, and kids get better. You kind of see the full cycle of treatment and care, from like illness to treatment to feeling better. And my pediatrician was awesome, and kids are just easier to talk to, and when they whine, it makes sense because they're kids. And when adults whine, they're just being childish. So might as well treat children. Nope, I'm a first generation. And now one of my sisters is pre-med. So awesome. She wants to be a pediatrician as well.
Good stuff.
That's an interesting story. So when I was in college, I was like determined to get out of Georgia. I was just like ready for a new experience, and I didn't really know where I wanted to go. I didn't know if I wanted to live like this glamorized Sex in the City life in New York, or if I wanted to, you know, live the same type of life in LA. But my sophomore year in college, I did a program. Morehouse has a lot of like pipeline programs for research, and I did a summer pipeline program. And I remember like my first day being lost on the campus, and it's not that big, but I didn't really know where to go. And this employee saw me like walking around looking lost, and she just came up to me and she was like, hey, are you lost? Like, do you know where you're going? And I was like, I have no idea. And she literally had a meeting to go to, but detoured from her meeting to walk me to my destination. And she had no idea who I was. And that type of hospitality just kind of really spoke volumes to me. And then that summer, I just had a great time. I met so many doctors. I met a lot of alum from Morehouse who were in the residency program that I got to shadow and work with. And they just were always talking nonstop about the experience they had at Morehouse, and how it's such a family-centered institution, and everyone cares about the students individually, and about their success. And you know, everyone just goes above and beyond to make sure that their students and their alum match where they want, period, and are prepared as possible. And then for me, it was important to be around doctors that kind of look like me. We still have a deficit of African-American physicians, and then African-American women or female physicians. And so I wanted to kind of be feared in a program that would expose me to those type of doctors.
So can you just talk about how med school has been for you? So now that you're on the other side, you're a doctor now. So how was it? So how was it just going through med school, the struggles, how you overcame those struggles, and just your overall experience?
So yeah, medical school is a journey, even for the geniuses out there. I'm not one of them. But I would say lots of prayer, and kind of, it's like once you get to medical school, that is such a grind. And then in medical school is a grind, but it's a different type of grind because you at least have the backing of like, well, now I know for sure I'm going to be a doctor. Like, I'm going to finish this journey. And granted, there are people who don't, but that never crossed my mind. It was like when times got hard, it was just like, keep pushing. So I would say lots of prayer, really being focused and trusting that like God purposed me to be here. He told me I was going to be at Morehouse, and so I knew I was going to graduate from Morehouse, and I was praying on that from day one. From the time I got my acceptance letter, I was like, I want to be a part of the graduating class of 2018. And I would say a strong support group, so not even just family or like external friends, but having a strong support within my program was really important and helpful for me because they were other people who were going through the same plight that I was. And because we at some point all experienced some sort of deficit in the journey, but were able to support and be there when that person was going through whatever they were going through. I would also say in that support group, I say like 2 heads are better than 1. So for me, studying in a study group was really helpful. Sometimes it would just be all of us. It might be 4 people in a room, but we all have on headphones and we're all like, one person might be studying pharm while another person studying like pathology. But we could easily like pull our headphones out and be like, hey, did you guys catch, I like started writing the note for this neoplasia lecture, but I don't understand this slide, or I didn't finish my note. Did somebody else get this?
Right.
Or I keep getting this question wrong. Somebody else might be like, oh yeah, I get all the group questions right, so I got you. Mm-hmm. And so like having that, it taught me like humility because it taught me how to ask for help. I feel like a lot of doctors, a lot of people on the path to medicine, we don't like asking for help because somewhere in our journeys, we've equated asking for help to like weakness, right. Or being dumb or stupid for not knowing an answer to a question, but that's literally what you're in school for. And so I allowed myself to be open to my peers, and that honestly makes you a more well-rounded physician because you're never going to know everything. Even when you're in attending status, you're constantly going to be learning, and you should want to always be learning. You should never get to a point where you're like, I know everything, because it's a lie. So I think humility, having a strong peer group, having strong family support, and praying constantly. That's how I made it.
All right.
So I thank God that I'm 26. I went straight from undergrad to medical school. I got in on my first time. I only had to take the MCAT once. I was always a top student, so like my process was I think pretty seamless. But in my 4th year, I went through a pretty traumatic kind of blow to the chest. And I'll let you guys use context to figure out what that means. But I was on an away rotation, and I got some devastating news. And it like in my mind was going to change the entire trajectory of the rest of my life. All the dreams and all the aspirations as far as where I would go for residency, the type of doctor I would be, the opportunities I would have, instantly felt like all of that was like snatched away. And I was by myself in a city that I didn't have any support, any friends, and I still had to go to work every day. And so I will say I got through that. A big part of that was Jesus. And at the time, my at the time boyfriend, who was a youth pastor, was also really, really encouraging through that process and constantly reaffirming my intelligence and my abilities. And you know, it's one of those things where when you go through something hard, you're vulnerable, and the devil will just eat. It's like a Thanksgiving meal to see one of God's children like suddenly in such a space of doubt, and any lie that he tells you, you'll just believe, especially since his voice can sound like your voice. And so I had to constantly like recognize that I was being told lies of, you know, not feeling adequate, And that all played a part into my ability to like pick myself back up and keep moving. Because if I allowed myself to remain in that space of anxiety and in that space of potential depression, then I would have spiraled out of control and literally allowed everything that I feared most to happen. And even going through it, it like catapulted my work ethic into a plane that I had not seen of myself in a while, because you know, when everything is going in your favor, it's easy to get comfortable in a space of like expecting everything to go your way. But like, you should never really, in this field, you should never really allow yourself to feel comfortable, because when you're comfortable, you stop learning, you stop reading, you stop studying with the effectiveness that you should be. I had allowed myself to do that, and that was like the last thing that needed to happen. At the point, like the next step was residency, and so I needed to be as sharp as possible, if anything, in my 4th year. So I allowed this experience to remind me of that, and then I just hit the ball running. I didn't even think about it. I gave myself 2 days to cry. 2 days. The day I got the news, and then the day after that, and then that next day when I was going back to work, I was like, I'm going back. Like, it's time to pick yourself up and keep it pushing. I was praying nonstop every day, not just for like the situation, but also that I would grow from it and not shrink, and not allow myself to cower behind the situation. Because I just would constantly say, like, I'm not gonna let this define me. Nobody will ever know anything. That I will wear the face of perfection, because I'm a perfectionist, as most of us are. And you know, I grew up in a house where it was like, never let them see you sweat. So it was like, nobody's ever gonna see me sweat, which is good. You shouldn't trust everyone with your sweat, but at the same time, we all at some point or another, everybody's gonna go through life. Medical school doesn't mean life stops happening. So whether that be life happening in school with some sort of bump or bruise along the way, or whether it be external. I mean, I know classmates who've had family members die, grandparents, parents. I had a classmate whose mother died during our 2nd year, which is like the hardest year. I couldn't imagine going through that. To be honest, for those of you who ever go through any sort of academic turmoil, consider that to a degree a blessing in disguise, compared to what could, like, the worst that could happen. Like, I feel like in this field, they paint the picture that academic deficiencies or bumps along the way will define your entire character as a physician. Right. Not doing well on, you know, an exam in your 1st year, your 2nd year, or for anybody that has to decelerate for any year or take a semester off, that all is just a moment in time compared to the years of time that you're gonna have. When bad things happen, you just gotta stay focused. You stay focused on the end goal, you stop at nothing to make it happen. You knock everybody out the way that may be a threat to that. And even if that means knocking your own self out the way.
That is definitely one of the realest things I've ever heard. Wow. I even needed to hear that. That was, yeah.
Yeah. It was hard because you go from being a senior, I matched at my number 1, I was on cloud 9. You go from being at the top of the totem pole, being a 4th year, to being in the gutter again. So that drastic change is always going to be difficult. But I think what plays a part in its ease can be, one, being at a program that you like. Everyone doesn't match at their number 1, but making the most of wherever you are, trusting yourself and knowing that you were chosen for a reason. Positive affirmations. Know who you are and whose you are.
Okay. All right, so that wraps up this vlog. Thank you so much, Kayla, for, that's cute, being in this vlog and just sharing about your life and just how you've kind of navigated through the system and ultimately has become a doctor. If you have any questions, just email me and I can definitely contact her. And yeah, thanks for watching.